The Instant Speed Podcast is proudly sponsored by Kayfabe Cards. Kayfabe Cards is located in Riverton, Utah, and is your total hookup for flesh and blood singles and sealed product. Go to kayfabecards.com and find all of your TCG passions covered, from Magic, One Piece, Pokemon, and plenty more. Kayfabe Cards is also bringing you the Battle Hardened in Salt Lake City, as well as Pokemon Regionals in the coming year. Kayfabe is life. Be who you want to be. This is a very special edition of the Instant Speed Podcast, episode number 88, always brought to you by Kayfabe Cards. Be who you want to be. And I've got three people. That's all the descriptors you're getting, frankly.
We're people.
Yeah, you're people. I mean, that's not bad. Citizens of Earth, I guess, is just the qualifier here. But it is three floating. We've got Jacob Bertrand. We've got Aiden.
Hi.
And Sam, I know you just said it. You literally asked you.
Kwasniewski.
And I even said Polish, and you're like, yeah. And then that was it. You just became.
All you remembered was he's Polish.
Basically, yeah. That was it. Do you speak Polish?
No, I do not speak any Polish.
I was gonna just.
I celebrate Polish Christmas though.
Hell yeah.
Does he actually?
Sweet.
Vilia.
It's just an extra Christmas. I'm like, why not? Like, just throwing Russian Christmas in there, Chinese New Year,
sure.
like whatever works, man.
Yeah,
no, definitely. But yeah, thanks for doing this again. We are kind of on location, where I honestly don't know, because we went up like a dirt trail, and I wish that I could show people this palace. Unreal, this place.
Overlaying footage of it right now.
You know, that's not a bad idea. Exactly. I don't know how I'm going to edit this, because honestly, this is like just like a special edition. But thank you guys for doing the show, honestly.
Heck yeah. We're roommates, actually. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. But we went from an Airbnb with no Wi-Fi and one of us on the couch to basically we each have our own floor.
Yeah. It's pretty freaking sweet. This place is massive.
It's huge.
Yeah, shout out Realm Games.
Thank you to
Realm.
Realm Games for hooking this up big time. Ultimately, though, we're here for the pre-release, which was Dusk Till Dawn, which happened this past weekend. How did you guys feel about that? We'll start with I guess Sam, hit it, maybe. Like, how was your pre-release?
What is how you did? Mr. winning a box and a half. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, but I mean, that was pretty sweet. But I did it the diplomatic way, which was basically getting to like winning the first two and then saying chop, like halvesies, and we play for the cold foil. And that one of my first losses like in the finals was to this clown over here.
That's me. I'm the clown.
Yeah.
Pre-release was really fun. It was actually my first time drafting the set, and got a pretty cracked chain pool. I read the seat well. Yes. I was supposed to be in chain, but the deck was cracked. I got the Majestic Weapon, bunch of arcane damage. Met this dude in the finals.
Yeah, well, met me. I was just like, it was basically like standing at a bus stop and getting forgotten, because you just like blew right past me. I was like, okay, bye. Kind of how that went.
Yeah, it was a close game. I mean, like you said, it felt close. I was at one, but the damage was kind of inevitable at that point.
No, it was like it wasn't close. Like it was one of those things where how many games have you played where at the end of the game it's like, oh, it was like 3-0 at the end. Yeah, but the dude like just
went to 3.
Yeah, chunked 14 so that he can just take it, like, right, and send it right back. But you guys had a good time too, right? Like, you guys.
Yeah, their tournament was really great. You guys did really well, right? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Aiden, because you can go last. Yeah,
because I did the best.
We drafted 4 times.
You drafted 4. I think we drafted 3.
Yeah, because they're in the final.
Yeah, because we were in the winners bracket. So
I drafted 4 times. It was my first time drafting Monarch. I had no idea what I was doing. It was fun to see Prism cards. I've never played Prism before, or seen Chain, or Bolton, or Levia. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I lost a lot in like the first 2 pods. Won 1 game in the 3rd pod. And then I got to meet Matt in the finals for the last pod. Ended up losing. I was on Chain, though, and it was a pretty cool Chain deck. Chain was really fun to figure out. Yeah, it was cool. Monarch is sick. I think I like Monarch more than Outsiders.
Yes.
Whoa.
No, but
yeah, maybe that's a hot take, but
it's hot. But like at the same time, I think it's not that hot. Once if we all had access to drafting Monarch in the same capacity and the same frequency as we've drafted, like maybe like Tales of Aria or whatever, like all the post-COVID stuff, because Monarch was a set that nobody drafted.
Yeah,
because it was right in the crux of like that really COVID-y time where
no one was going out, you couldn't meet.
Yeah, and so no one did it, and like I think I drafted it once, and that was when I was just getting the game and I wanted to get as much as possible, and like ultimately drafting it 3 times in a row, 4 for you scrubs, but like 3 times in a row, I was like, damn, this set is actually really great to draft. And like I was talking to Matt Rogers last week, and he was saying about how it might be his favorite draft format. I'm like, you're stupid. Like, you're stupid, Matt Rogers. Like, how would you say something like that when other great drafts exist? And then doing it all this past weekend, I was like, damn, like there's a lot of fun to be had in this set.
Yeah, it's cool. I even like I know people are kind of shitting on the Dusk Till Dawn, like, you know, anti-shadow cards, anti-light cards, because like, oh, they're for cube or whatever, and they don't really make sense. But it was cool playing with them in Monarch, and they actually had some viability, and it was pretty cool. Like, I know, Sam, you cheesed out a game with one of the what was it against Matt? Oh shit, damn, with one of the shadow instants. But.
Oh, it was like banished everything from my soul, like, or if this is attacking like somebody like who has something in their soul, if it hits you, it's like, you know, like
banish a card from soul, lose a life,
like exactly.
Shadow hero.
Yeah.
Slash their tires. And
how did your pre-release go, Aiden?
Oh, so great. So actually, the Realm games allowed us to draft 4 rounds of first edition Monarch. So it was an awesome pre-release. But how you actually got to do all 4 rounds is you lose the first one. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to get the box. Oh, also box per win, which is sick.
No,
That's
not per win if you win them.
Oh, box per.
Yeah, are you kidding?
Box per win of the whole
like
pot.
the
Yeah.
worst.
Just a long box if you are.
It's not a good business model, frankly.
Yeah. No. So lost, join the next one, lost, join the next one, lost, join the 4th one. Now this one, first pack via the Vanguard, I'm like, oh my god, it is like Matt got 3 via the Vanguard.
Well, in the first draft, and like the worst part is people kept, because I tweeted that out. I said, "Is this a good deck?" Because I got 3 Vs and like Spill Blood and. People are like, oh, see, and people are saying like, this is what happens when you're the only Bolton in a pot. I'm like, no, I'm like, Aiden was like 2 spots to my right. He just got absolutely gooned by RNG because because one of the Vs that I got was like pack 2, pick 5. So it was legitimately the dude to your right who opened it, and then just
all the way around.
It literally fucking like its passport was stamped absolutely in every continent. It just went everywhere.
Except mine.
Yeah.
Except my continent.
Yeah.
You never even got to see it.
So this one, I was like after hearing about that, I was like, okay, I'm taking this V, and then drafted the worst like draft chaff Bolton. Like should have been Prism, should have been Levia, like anything other than Bolton. But I was like sticking to it. I was like, I'm just gonna force. And the guy that I was playing with round 1 was like, oh, I'll just draft so that you have 8 for the pod because it was late. It was the last draft of the day. And then I'll go. And so my one win was a buy. And I still got the buy, but after drafting his deck, he's looking at his deck. He's like, oh, this is a really good chain deck. I'm actually, hey, you know what? Let's just play for fun. So I played for fun and lost for fun. And then he was like, oh, no, it's great. Like, you take the buy, like, keep playing. And I was like,
Thanks, man.
thank you. This is great.
Dude, they all count. Those count. Like, that's too bad. It happens.
And
Congratulations.
Jem was like,
To be fair, of the 3 of us, Aiden is the only one to share a top 8 with Michael Hamilton. So you know who got the last laugh.
I mean, ultimately, like when it comes to actual results, Aiden like is much better than us. But on any literally like any given Sunday, like we all did great, and Aiden unfortunately was a passenger on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's also just how like all of the fight nights go. I've yet to put up a win on fight night, so we'll just stick to like putting up wins and getting serious for tournaments.
I love that. Not even just the fight nights, just with like me and Sam playing Aiden just for fun. Oh, yeah. I think you've maybe beaten both of us maybe 5 times.
Yeah. And how many games have you guys played?
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
No, not hundreds. Definitely above 50 though.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm like win rate. We're breaking double digits soon, hopefully. Like, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I loved when Aiden was first playing the game, or actually both of us, when we first kind of got into the game, we just could not figure out Icelander. And Sam would just play his Icelander and steamroll us, and we'd be like, this hero's fucking busted. Like, what the heck? This is like, right after Uprising. Or not right after, it was like right after Bullander, I guess, came out.
I hate control.
Yeah, like, control's the worst. And we went to Worlds, and I was able to finally take down an Icelander, and it felt so good. And Sam was so proud of me. And then I remember Sam and Aiden like grinded games of Icelander. Whoa. Yeah, Dash Icelander.
Yeah, no. In those test games, this was also still hypothermia.
Dude, those count.
And Amulet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like 7 games of Icelander. Like, this is the one deck that I really don't know how to beat. It is my white whale. The one game like that I lost all of them. We gotta start. Lost all of them, and I was like, wow, this feels great. I'm so ready to play more Icelander. The one that was the most tragic though is I got the 3-pounder stack, which I think that is the way to beat Icelander. Is you stack your pounders and then you go. But like, yeah, it was terrible. Because Sam was like, oh, I lost this game already. Oh, I just won.
There was one thing about this weekend that I thought was hilarious, which was every time that Jacob would say that he's absolutely going to lose this game, he ended up winning it, which was, and then what was crazy, because that final pod, like the last draft of the day, I started that draft. I didn't choose a hero till midway through pack 2, and I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I had a stack of cards this high. I only had 40 playable cards, so like literally every card on top was like just garbage because I couldn't play it. And I started that draft when it was completed, and I told you guys, I said, this is the worst draft I've ever done in my entire life. And I was like, I'm gonna 0-1 drop, and I was like, it's not gonna happen. Then it was me and you in the finals, and everyone's just like, how the hell do you said it was the worst draft?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm like, eventually I just drafted Heralds and hate drafted all the generic poppers. Like that was my strategy. And then in the final game against you, it came to a point where like I think I took some damage, and you're like, oh shit, I think I'm just gonna lose this game. And at that point I'm like, I'm gonna lose this game. Like now I'm gonna lose this game. It was just both of us.
Because I said the thing that makes me win.
Basically, that's exactly what happened. But overall, your impressions so far, like you've opened some Dusk Till Dawn cards, you've played Monarch. My impression of Dusk Till Dawn, I think I told you guys this, is like it wasn't exactly, the art looks great, but it seems like this is something that should be an addendum to Monarch, which it obviously is, but like what we've come to expect from supplemental sets like Crucible of War, Everfest, Dynasties, that everybody gets a sprinkle, right? Like this just seems like there's so much left.
No sprinkle for mech.
Like there's nothing for mech, and there are great cards that have been had, like Starstruck, freaking amazing. Like play tested it this weekend. Starstruck's amazing. There's a lot of cards that we were talking about, like all the Unity cards for all the other heroes and whatnot. But like, what are your impressions of Dusk Till Dawn specifically? Like Sam, like you got to open a bunch of packs and whatever. No serialized cards. Yeah, no serialized cards, but still.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other night. It's a really cool set if you're excited about these 4 heroes. I think they did a really good job of creating a set with these 4, quote unquote new heroes, or just new support for the old heroes that, like, I want to try all the new decks. I want to try all the 4 new heroes, or the new support for the old heroes. Like I want to try all those decks. I think they did a really good job of making it look really fun and making it look cool, and the cards look great. It does just kind of feel like another core draftable set that you just can't draft. You know what I mean? It's like there's not that same excitement for everybody who plays all the different classes. So if you're expecting a supplemental set to have something for you and you don't play any of these 4 classes, you don't really have that. But so for these other more focused sets, everybody else at least gets to draft. It's like, all right, I don't really want to play any of these heroes in CC, but I'm going to draft the set. I'm going to play it in sealed. But because you can't do it with this set, it just feels like this weird in-between that, I still really like the set. I'm really excited to open a bunch of cards and play with the new decks. But I do understand why some people are like, where does this exist in Flesh and Blood? It's kind of in between the things we've seen before.
PvE. Yeah, PvE. You got to put those PvE cards in somewhere, and like I think to me,
This isn't PvE yet.
Yeah, but like you got to like trickle up to it. I don't know. To me, it seems like this is the 10th like set of Flesh and Blood. Like they announced at Pro Tour, it seems like it's a celebration of the game, and Yeah, that
But it's-
probably means that like
But it's not though. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing, because if it's a celebration of the game, you think that every
Would
hero
get some cards.
would get something, and I get it because I remember that. Like they're talking about the 10th thing when like there's all these cool inserts which we're gonna open this weekend, obviously.
Yeah,
But, like those cool
all the one
ceros.
of ones. Yeah.
But like I get what you're saying, and the whole thing about the PVE, about this being all about PVE, and like it's a slow burn to PVE, and like we also got like the professor bundle, right, which is gonna be kind of like for more UPF, but it might have a lot more PVE implications too. But at a certain point, like when does the trickle turn into an actual like puddle or something that you can play in? Because right now everybody has this automatic response of, well, this is not really playable, but it will be for PvE. But it's like, shit, dude, like, okay, but like for now we don't have it, so why don't you just release I'm not honestly release a PvE exclusive set, but maybe it's like a bundle or a box set that you buy, but nobody wants to open stuff that they can't play, right? And that feels bad. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is the first set that I did not pre-order. And the reason why is because I'm not going to play, or I might not play Vincent, and I'm not going to play this Prism. And the cards that are in there that I'm interested in are like the specialization cards. And I'm just going to buy like the play sets, spend like, $50-$60 on the singles. And then, I mean, like I won a box and a half, and like I'm happy with what I got.
Congrats.
Yeah, I know. Like, but I'm gonna get the legendaries, and I'm gonna buy those separately. But I'm not. Like, this is the first set that I didn't just automatically pre-ordered like a case or two. Like, do you feel like the same way? Like that this PVE now, this whole discussion of some of this stuff is for PVE. Like, have we pushed too far without getting it? Like, it's been this conversation. It's been teased for so long. Like, do you feel like it's kind of getting old to a degree,
Yeah,
Jacob?
like, it should just be out now.
Yeah.
By this point, how much we talked about it. I don't know. I guess. I think. Oh, thank you. I think the PVE is going to take a while, and I'm happy that they're taking a long time to, I guess, get the finer details down before just releasing and be like, I guess we'll work on it. But I'm excited for it to finally come out, and like it's going to be a banger and super cool. I don't really mind this supplemental set not carrying something for every hero. I mean, there weren't Guardian cards and Outsiders, were there?
But that's a draftable.
That's a draftable set. Like where the previous one was Dynasty, and Dynasty did get
That
some.
had everything.
It had everything, but
yeah.
they weren't great.
I mean,
like,
they sucked. All the there was Guardian shit in Dynasty.
yeah, it was in the
What
Guardians.
Guardian cards are you running
it was like
from that?
There's like
Buckle.
Yeah.
Buckle's great, and like that's fine, and I get it. And like people who kind of like shit talk sets like Everfest, I challenge you to go back to Everfest and tell me like that set wasn't actually gas. Like that, there's great stuff in it, and
People talk down on Everfest?
I
a
love
lot.
Spring Tidings. I love Everfest literally just for Spring Tidings.
Everfest is probably one of my favorite sets I've ever opened. Like,
Yeah.
Just like all the different really powerful Majestics that add so much to all the different classes.
yes, equipment as well.
The commons are great.
I think that the narrative for Everfest has changed in the past few months. Because I think a lot of people are saying things like for instance in Dynasty, people were like, "Oh, give Dynasty some room to breathe," and you'll see it's going to be like it's not like Everfest. Everfest is garbage and whatever. But you look back at Everfest, and I think people are coming around to it, realizing that like Revel in Runeblood and Swarming Gloomveil, and yeah, there's a lot of Runeblade stuff in there, but there's a lot of other great shit in there.
Tekla Pounder.
Yeah, but like this as a supplemental set is not like the previous three. This one is a celebration. It's like it but this one to me feels more like LSS pushing a storyline like the lore more than anything else.
I love lore. I saw on Twitter some people were saying like, oh, supplemental sets, this one doesn't have support for every hero. I never saw anywhere that they said supplemental sets were going to have support for every hero. So for me, like, they're expanding the lore in this, and it's really cool. And I came into the game after Prism and Chain, and Levi has always been kind of garbage, and Bolton was always kind of garbage. So it's kind of cool to see, like, oh, these people are getting new things. They're expanding the lore. I pretty much pick my heroes based off of, are they fun to play? Do they look cool? Like, I think Lexi really fits my playstyle. I'm so sorry whoever made the Lexi art. I don't like the Lexi art, so I just can't bring myself to play
Federico
it.
Musetti, I think.
Is it really? Oh, you know
Yeah,
what sucks
and he's
for
an
you?
awesome dude.
You know what? I love the dragons that he draws.
Yeah.
They're so freaking cool.
It's a good
I don't love. I mean, I do. I just don't love the Prism art. I don't like to draw my art either.
How about that Vincent art though?
The Vincent art is pretty fucking cool. I don't know who does that.
Also, Federico.
It's Federico.
Really? Federico, I'm sorry. So, some of your things I fucking love, and some of them I just don't absolutely love. But the dude, the Vincent, she's such a little weirdo. Like, why are you covering yourself with all these little things? Like, you look so weird. But it's drawn so well.
Yeah, she looks sick.
Yeah, except Alexi, though.
We got tons of questions from people who want to ask you stuff. Before I get to that, I do want to ask you guys or talk a little bit more about Free Floating as like a squad, as a content creation team, because what you guys do, I think, is above and beyond. It is like sets the bar in terms of just entertaining, gripping
Okay,
kind of
you can
content.
come on.
No, I already have you on the show. I can say whatever the fuck I want now. Yeah, we're done. If you guys trust me, if you guys got mad and got up and walked off, that would be so much better for views. Like, it's like, hate me. Yeah, exactly. I was just like poking the bear. It's like, no, you guys fucking suck, actually. No, we're not going to do that. But I want to ask you guys, when you guys got together to actually do the content for Free Floating, and where you guys, because you guys are all within the entertainment industry. Obviously, you guys are actors and producers and whatever. This is all your jam, and it really resonates with the product that you guys put out there because it's glorious. Like, I've never heard bad things about the energy, the content, the direction, everything like that. It's all aces, and I really want to, from not just me, from the community, thank you guys for putting in the effort, because a lot of people think it's easy to put good content, but like what people don't understand is like just something as basic as an animation and like a cut to this to that, and like that takes time. And I want you guys, it's better that you say this, but let's say you guys put out an hour-long video. From the point that you start working on that video to the point it's published on YouTube, how much time is put into producing a video that is, let's say, 1 hour long?
I will say 90% of it is Aiden. And it takes, if I was to guess, like 60 hours?
For a 30-minute video.
For, yeah.
60 hours.
Right?
Well,
6-0.
Yeah.
it's roughly an hour for a minute of edited like gameplay. That's sort of what it comes down to, because we're
the editing.
That is true.
We do a whole day.
No, but like that's a thing, because keep in mind, and when you say like an hour, like, okay, well, it's like, oh, we did 12 hours of shooting. That's not 12. It's 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours,
Yeah.
right? Because there's 3 people involved. The man hours involved in this, or like that factors in, and then you have a big part of this because you do a lot of the production and that. But this is what I think a lot of people don't understand, because everybody wants to, or a lot of people are like, oh, I want to make videos, I want to do a podcast and whatever, and you could, and we encourage you, and I think it's great.
Do it.
But you're not Aiden.
Well, but people don't.
I'm kidding, you can do it. You're just not Aiden.
But people don't understand the work that's put in here, because all they see is the finished product. And it's like the same thing. You guys are actors, and you're on Cobra Kai, and people are like, oh yeah, he's like a young guy, he's got a great gig on a great show, it's like it's got great reviews. But at the same time, I also saw you on like a bubblegum commercial or something when you're like 8 years old. So this is a slow grind to get there. And like, again, this isn't meant to discourage people. It's meant to just sort of pull the veil back on the reality of the work that gets put in there. And Aiden, like an hour per minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's just from pass to pass. Like, the whole thing is about watchability and quickness. Taking out stuff takes time. Adding in overlays, the animations for sure, like on all the cards, and then there's also just like a lot of creative stuff that goes into, especially just the interview things, like digging through that stuff and finding like what is like the fun, like entertaining and insightful insight, and where do you place that, and
The story that you're trying to tell too.
I think I think it's important to, like, part of our kind of mission, and not necessarily mission statement, but one of the things we really wanted to do was kind of like pretend that this game was big enough to warrant all this amount of work, and like, let's just put the work in and pretend that like Flesh and Blood is the biggest TCG out there, and there's all this revenue that's, it's like, because to us it is the biggest one. Yeah, exactly, because it's the only game we, literally, it's like we love this game more than any of the other games. We play it all the time, and so like we're doing it because it's fun, but also like we have the ability to put in that time because we were very lucky in that Aiden is still in his final year of school, and so a lot of things that the rest of us have to worry about, like jobs and rent and things, is like Aiden is still kind of working through that part of his life. So he had the time to put in, which allowed us to get off the ground in the way that now I'm learning from Aiden how to do some editing. You know, we're splitting up the responsibilities moving forward so that it's a little more feasible as Aiden moves into the rest of his life and has to start worrying about those other things. So it does take an enormous amount of work, but we were also pretty fortunate for just like when the kind of it all came together. We had the time and we had somebody who had the real time to put in, because like, dude, not a lot of people have the amount of time to put into something like that. And also it's not like Flesh and Blood has the return necessarily to make that kind of a content. So that's where like the Realm Games comes in to help us make sure that we're able to do it. And
that's a very tough sell too. And what a lot of people don't understand is that oftentimes, like, as much as you might love something, it might not have the kind of sustainability where you can actually make a career out of it or whatnot. The passion that you have to have. And like, again, this is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of people. Everybody's like, oh, you know, is Flesh and Blood in the top 4? No, it's not. Or if it's number 4, it's number 4 and then like a country mile. Exactly. And then the big 3. Not to say that the game isn't great, the community isn't awesome, and it's not growing or doing well. But what you have to understand is that you can make a living making content for Magic or for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever. You could absolutely do that, and people do that. But this is not the same thing. And Yet you're spot on when I say yet, but again, like Magic is a 30-year-old entity here, and Flesh and Blood is 3 or 4 years old. And what's funny is like when you talk about like how you're doing this, Aiden, while you're studying it in school, but it's an hour per minute for video, and you're putting out an hour-long video. Like, do you blame them for not becoming like an astronaut or a surgeon because like of the amount of time that they're taking out of your studies? Like, you could have probably landed a shuttle on Mars by now with the amount of
time.
Yeah, and with the talent and the time.
There's a Brandon Sanderson level novel in his head that we've been hiding
Was
from
that
the world.
your book on the coffee table at the other Airbnb?
What?
That like tome?
Oh, that was
That was yours?
Yeah.
But it's not mine. I'm reading that.
It was like
stuff.
this thick, dude.
Yeah, no. So I want to write stuff like that someday. Like, definitely. That's what I'm studying. I'm studying screenwriting. I love writing fantasy stuff. This is great because it's like a total passion project, and it connects us to more like people that
get to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is what like we wanted to meet. We wanted to like engage with the community in a way that was like starts to only be possible when you put content out and you kind of put your name out there and you try to engage and create. And we wanted to create something like, dude, when we got into the game, we were just looking for gameplay like that. And we just wanted to be able to watch gameplay that was quick and that was produced and that was fun and that was not just like for the established and franchised Flesh and Blood player. It was also for somebody new who just wanted to see if the game was fun. And so we're trying to, the goal is to try to hit the middle ground between like the games are still good and interesting to watch, but if you're just discovering the game, you're like, what is this? This shit looks fun.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there when we were first getting into it, and it was like, well, shit, I guess we're gonna make it.
Well, this hits like one of the questions, and if I could actually find it, which is basically the question. I'm going to find it and credit who. Here we go. Okay, this is from Luis Contreras off of Twitter asking, is there a clash between creating content for the people who want more competitive stuff and those who want to hang out and chill with Fab? Sometimes playing suboptimal is funnier, like when you guys, this is like a very Commander-esque thing. Like when you're making a play, you're not always playing optimally. You're playing for what has the most, exciting outcome. But the same thing is also like just finding the space for the content itself, because there is always a demand for deck techs and high-level stuff. But, you guys are not out
Michael
there.
Hamilton.
Well, that's it. But like, you guys are not out there breaking the meta. You guys are making entertaining content of gameplay and other stuff and like funny stuff. Do you guys find that there's a lack of one or the other, or do you guys sort of have to have this conversation of like, hey, maybe we should do some more, competitive level stuff, or like, how do you guys decide the flavor of the content that you guys make?
I think everything, like, we want to present the most competitive games as possible. Like, especially with like the Pro Tour battles, like we like going and looking at professional built lists and then learning to pilot those and present those as competitively as we can. Honestly, the humor stuff, like, it's not intentional misplays ever. It's like actual like sometimes we kind of suck.
Yeah,
and,
no,
like,
we're
make a
just
misplay.
donkeys. Yeah.
and so it comes into like the edit and like but also just the nature of sitting down and playing Flesh and Blood with these guys, like, you know, with your friends, but also trying to. So yeah, I guess it is kind of a line that is hard to walk, but the goal is competitive and entertaining. But Flesh and Blood is a competitive first game, and we're very aware of that. So, we like that. That is why we play this game, for the competition. So, I think always, like, especially with the talking heads, the interviews and stuff, that I when I'm looking at an edit, the fun comes from the reactions and the moment to moment, like, faces and exchanges that are made between the players while they are in the game competing at the highest level that they can, and then using those interviews to bring in the competitive insight, to get you inside the head of the player in the moment. Like, those, you know, obviously sometimes you have like a 3 red in the ledger. We got to cut to Jacob, you know, like reliving that, you know, but the goal for those is to keep the competitive integrity of the video, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think, you said everything. I think the game is just inherently super competitive, and it's kind of hard to not have that. And then the sort of chill, maybe Commander-esque vibe just comes from how we probably actually play. I'm probably the most tomfoolery-ish one whenever we play. Like, even if it's a very, very tight game, I'm still saying the random shit that I say in the fight nights, you know? Yeah, I just think I think it's kind of just, our channel is really just like us playing Flesh and Blood, and it is a super competitive game, but it's still like fun and can be funny.
Yeah.
So a question from Teklo Crow from Instant Speed, a great person. Teklo Crow, by the way, is the person who helped me design the new logo and the rebrand. So
damn,
solid ups to Crow. Crow asks, what inspires you to make to make your type of content? Is there anybody that you guys look up to? And yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's me. Yeah, I mean, we were.
talked about that.
Yeah. When we got into this, there were definitely, you know, me and Jacob come from Magic, and I watched before when I met Jacob, I hadn't ever seen Cobra Kai. I had seen his episode of Game Nights. I was like, oh, I know that guy from Game Nights. Like, I didn't know him from Cobra Kai, and so I watched a lot of the Magic shows, like Game Nights, like Playing with Power, like Play to Win. I love Play to Win. That was definitely like a big kind of a model for us in terms of like the way that they utilized like quickness in the edit and taking out a lot of the dead air. Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a lot of great not actual play, but like live play of TCG footage out there. There just wasn't a lot for Flesh and Blood that wasn't, you know, 55 minutes of people just kind of shuffling their cards and maybe talking, but mostly just thinking, because a lot of the most interesting decisions in Flesh and Blood happen in your head. They don't happen on the board. Sure. Like, you just block with the card. Like, what you see on the board is just somebody just blocked with a card, but all of the decisions that you had to move through in your head to decide, okay, I'm going to block with this card because I've already thought through my next turn and maybe the turn after that, and I'm thinking about, right, like all your pitch stack, like all that stuff happens in your head. It's not visual. So without going into the players' minds like we tried to do on our show, you don't get that as the viewer. You don't get that as the you know, audience member. So that's something that definitely a lot of the Magic shows do, and we, you know, we like it too.
I gotta ask now, this is just purely me, who's the first person out of you three to turn down an idea? Like, who's the most strict when it comes to, like, somebody floats an idea, who's the first person that you, or the most frequent to say, it's kind of silly, or that I don't think so? Is there, or do you guys just say, I'm gonna trust you, let's just roll with it?
That's a great question.
I think it might be me.
I think yeah, Jacob will have the hardest, like, you know, like, if there is something that you don't like, you'll be the first to voice it.
Jacob's also the most stubborn. Just be like, no, I like this. I'm doing it. Like, that's also true. Like, our very first episode.
This is funny, damn it.
Yeah, like our first episode ever. Jacob's like, I don't really like the Dromai art. I want to use my Magic the Gathering Japanese Sarkhan art. And we're like, okay, but do you think maybe not having a Magic card on our very first video, and
very first,
literally, and the way this man looked at me, just like, no, I like it, and I'm doing it. I was like, all right, dude, like, you got it, brother.
Okay, that
Can't
is.
play with the Dromai.
I mean, in more of an actual answer to your question, I think something that we have found is or that's lucky, is we all kind of come at things from a very similar core, but we have 3 kind of distinct, like individualized opinions on a lot of different things that we all, like you said, like really trust. Like if Aiden says something like, no, I don't think it should be this, I think it should be this, like Aiden and I have the right amount of differences and the right amount of like different expertises that I'm like, all right, I trust you, man. And like same with Jacob, and they'll do the same for me. Like if somebody kind of puts their foot down, it's probably for a reason that we just trust. We're like, all right, yeah, that's probably correct. Like,
And if someone puts down their foot and the other 2 people are also putting down their foot, then we trust the majority.
Yeah, I'd say the first thing that I remember disagreeing about was the layout. I remember that was like the first thing our overlay, yeah. That was sort of the first thing that I remember like debating back and forth with like the 3 of us. We all had like different ideas on what we wanted to show, and I don't know, we pretty much compromised almost every single time, I want to say, because most of 99% of the time when we are having creative differences, they kind of are still going down the same tunnel, you know? Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you guys exactly. It's like you guys like the same flavor of ice cream. You're just not agreeing on the top on like the sprinkles, right? Like that's
basically. Or it's like I like a cake cone. Sam always wants it in a cup. You know,
a cup.
Waffle cone.
I don't know, man. Like once you guys get older and you're like you just don't want to get your fingers dirty and carry on napkins and stuff. Cups the way to go, dude. Like it is. And then you're also old
with a little cone on top.
That's also good. Yeah. All right.
If you're gonna do cone, it's got to be in the cone, because if you do the cup and you throw a cone on top, then it just crumbles all over you as you're in the car, like just cone shattering.
No, there's a way to finesse it where the cone breaks into the cup and you're eating like crunchy spoonfuls.
So I just don't have the dexterity to succeed doing.
Fascinating.
Waffle cone.
Blake's like, please stop talking about ice cream.
No, I just because we don't have any in this Airbnb right now, so like, I can't. He's like on it. Another question from Texman Gaming from the ISP Discord asking, who's everybody's first hero, and have you stuck with that hero? The first time I met you was a ridiculous story because I looked at this is a silly story. It was in Indianapolis, and you were late to the table, and I look at the pairing and it said Jacob Bertrand, and I thought it was Jacob Bartram who owns the Realm Games, right? And I was like, I'm like, he's at his booth right there. I talked to him like 10 minutes ago. Why didn't he tell me he was playing? And I was like waiting, and then you show up and you sit down and you're like, hey, how's it going, man? Sorry I'm late. I'm like, it's all good. And I'm like, are you sure that this is? He's like, yeah, I'm Jacob. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, because like your name reminds me of somebody, and I've never seen Cobra Kai, and like I didn't know who you were, and I'm like, this is just a really rad dude, and you're like, oh yeah, you're like, I get that all the time, don't worry about it. I was like, and I'm like, okay, we played the whole game, we had a blast, and we laughed a lot.
It was an Oldham 5 game. I was getting wrecked, but it was just it was super fun.
And it was funny because like after the game, you were like, dude, hey, thanks for not being an asshole, because like I played against an asshole.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude,
before you.
Yeah. And I'm like, I played against an asshole before, whatever. And I'm like, hey, can I give you some advice and like this and that? And it was great. It was awesome. Then you left. I left. I went to go talk to some people. I was like, oh my God, weirdest thing happened. I played against somebody who has the same name as that guy, as like Jacob Bartram, are really close. He's like, who'd you play? I said, Jacob Bertrand. He's like, Jacob Bertrand, like from Cobra Kai? I'm like, fuck if I know. I'm like, I don't.
You're like, sure. I don't know.
Nah, I don't know. And he's like,
No,
that
from game night.
Yeah.
From game night.
And then it was funny because I had to go back to talk to him. Like, I'm really sorry. I'm like, when I said there was somebody else, I thought you were that guy. Which now, like, it's hilarious because you guys have a great relationship with the Bartrams. But like, it was just weird, and you were the nicest freaking guy. Anyways, all this to say, are you still on Fi?
Not as much. I think I'm gonna go back to it in this meta. It just really sucks against Rangers, but I feel like I can take down Katsu's. I feel like I can beat Vincent and Dromai. I just have to dodge Rangers. I had to dodge Rangers and Oldham. Now it's just Rangers. So
How do you feel against Bravo?
Ooh.
I totally forgot Bravo's thing. Bravo sucks too.
Hey.
If you find your sync pillows on time, you can do it.
Yeah, I think I'm like 2-2 into Bravo.
Or if you
on
remember
Talishar, I'm like 8-2 into Bravo.
If you remember that,
doesn't
like,
really count.
reinforce the line doesn't target your flick flags, and you're totally fine.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, we were just really.
This guy's.
I'd never even seen that card before, and I was like, all right, flick flag. Why can't I click on the reinforce the line? I was like, what the hell?
For all of you who want like a visual, Jacob was sitting on a couch playing Talishar and just we were down here setting up, and all of a sudden you hear is like, like,
Dude, this guy. I was trying this Katsu list that Aiden told me to play. The We Make Best Needlekatsu, and I was playing. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I play a Bravo. He goes first. He goes Crippling Crush. And I was like, okay, whatever. My first hand was, I think. No, don't take your time. No.
You got there.
It was a yellow bonds. It was my one yellow. Yellow bonds, sink below, reinforce the line, and a conceal blade. And he just.
What deck is this?
It's the Needlekatsu. I just drew a lot of the weird cards, and then he just goes make a whatever seismic surge pass. And I was like, oh fuck! I really wanted to cycle my hand and block something, but this is a really ass hand. So I just kind of like pass back, like Arsenal.
No, you.
Yeah, like I'm doing it too. And then his following turns went Crippling Crush, Spinal Crush into CNC, and then he played
another Crippling Crush.
Crush the Week first, then Crippling Crush, and then I think I lost to.
That's funny to me because while I was sort of like playing around with Bravo, I was like, is Crush the Week good in this meta? I'm like, I don't know. And then you're just talking about how it just gooned you real hard.
Yeah, so it's just I mean against Ninja. I mean it's probably going to be good against maybe not Vincent because she has some like 4s and 6s, huh?
A lot of the new ones are.
Yeah. So are you guys still on the same heroes that you guys sort of started on, or like what did you start on?
I'll go first because we all know your answer.
Yeah.
My first 2 decks that I built in CC, I played for like a year on my kitchen table before I went to my first event, and I was playing with the Blitz decks, and I was like building my own kind of Blitz decks. But the first deck I really built that I brought to the tournament was Lexi. It was Ice Lexi, Yuki's list, and I was most recently on Lexi. I'm kind of homeless. Like I don't have a hero that I've been like this is the one for me. I think the closest has been Icelander. I just, hasn't been the best meta for Icelander. But as I'm normally a kind of a hit.
Play the best meta.
So I'm about to get there. I'm normally a hipster with these type of games. Like when I was playing Magic, I didn't want to play a commander that like anybody had ever seen before. Like I like to be the hipster with these type of games. But for Flesh and Blood, because I've wanted to get really good, I saw like some random person online was like, if you want to get really good at a TCG, play like like a tier 1 meta deck and learn how to play it really well and learn how to play it in all the matchups, and you'll get better at the game because you'll be winning some games and you'll lose games that you could have won, and you can like really think about the best way to move through your play. So I've taken that advice kind of to heart with this one, and I do try to play like a good, like if I'm going to a tournament, I want to play a good meta call. But I have just re-sleeved Icelander because even though it's not the best, it is the deck I have the most fun with. So.
That's part of it too, right? But like it's really good advice, and you're right, because if you're playing suboptimally, you're gonna feel like you have no chance, and then you like part of it is confidence too. I know that you're all about Dash.
Yeah, but I didn't start on Dash. I started on Dorinthia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dorinthia was my first hero. Dorinthia Blitz, and then upgraded into a CC. But before that, my first armory, Sam invited me to come to our locals, and they were like, there's a person there, Blake. Who has a full CC Dory deck, and you can just borrow it. And like, I knew what the value of the cards was at this point because we'd played enough on like Tabletop Simulator and stuff. So I was like, that's crazy. Just like how nice these people are. Just like show up. Yeah, totally. Use my deck of like hundreds of dollars of cards. It was awesome. I showed up, played with like a real Dory deck for my first couple of weeks of learning the game. And then I was like, okay, I want to invest in having my own deck. Like that'll be awesome. And honestly, how I found Dash she was the one deck and hero that Sam didn't show me. So I was like, who is this? Like, the art just grabbed me right away. I was like, this looks like nothing else in the game. And then art is important. Art is super important. And then the Teklo Foundry on YouTube, he makes great Dash content. And watch all his videos, and those taught me how to find the Dash lines. And then I've done well with her.
The thing, did I tell you that I randomly ran into a Telestar game with him?
Really?
Yeah, we were playing Blitz, and his little name was like Tekla Foundry, and I was like, yo, are you like the Tekla Foundry? And he was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh shit, my friend Aiden loves your videos. We're 3 floating. And he was like, oh shit, I know who you are. That's so cool. And I was playing Emperor, and he was on Prism, and it was stinky. But it was a great game, and we like chatted a bunch during the game and didn't really play. We kind of just like
chatted.
I don't even think we finished the game. He was totally winning. but he like had to go or like edit. Or
Get the like that whole alert of like 40 seconds of inactivity. Like,
yeah, I was like, oh shit. Oh,
Yeah,
so
hold on, I
sorry,
gotta
man. BRB, got to play real quick.
I get that too. Sometimes like I'll be playing on Telestar and somebody like, "Are you Flake?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, it's nice to meet you." I'm like, "Yeah, you too, man." And then like literally 15 minutes later, it's like I get tagged in a Twitter post. I'm like, "I just beat Flake." It's like, oh yeah, you did. You absolutely did.
Just played Flake. Great guy. Sucky player though.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. Really gracious when he gets his ass kicked. So cool. It's just great. Like having a friend who can lend you a CC Dory list is like having a friend who's like, dude, you can use my car anytime. Except the car is like a tractor. Like it's just.
The car is like.
It's like, yeah, no, it's cool. I'll walk. It's all right. Yeah. It's all right. Next question actually is for you, Sam, because I got the joy and privilege of being able to cast with you at the Brawl in Chicago, was it?
In Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. And now this is something that you're doing more often. You're going to be casting Cincinnati.
Yeah, casting with Savage Feats, Ethan and Nathan Dolman, and our co-caster Brody Spurlock.
Dude, I don't want it's so tough for me to hear that name and then not just like be a fanboy. Like I just I feel like he's like a pyramid scheme and I'm getting in at the ground floor. You know, like I'm like, no, I've been a fan of his like forever, and I'm like reaping the benefits. I'm like, I'm bringing people in, and they're bringing people in, you know. Yeah. But like, how did you decide that this was something you want to do? Like, you're obviously a performer, you're great at it as well. But this is something that, like, for me, when I got into this, I actually declined the first few offers to cast Gwent way back when because I'm like, this is something that I'm not cut out for at all. I didn't want to touch it, and eventually they kind of like, dude, we need somebody to just do it. Who cares? And then I fell in love with it. Like, what was the process for you that this was something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not too dissimilar in a funny way. Because acting and performing and being in front of camera is something I've done my whole life. It was not my goal, says the guy with the YouTube channel. It wasn't my goal though. At first, like I didn't want to like necessarily mix the two worlds. But Justin Lewag at Arcane Games and Events, they have an incredible tournament series that I've been lucky enough to be a part of for a long time now. Before his very first tournament back in January, he was just like, Sam, he literally sat me down after an armory. He showed me a bunch of footage of old Magic GPs that he loved and was just like, I want to build something like this. I think you'd be really good in the booth, and I think you should cast next month. And I was like, I don't know, man. I've never done it. I was totally nervous. You know, I didn't have like top 8s under my belt from like big tournaments. I was like, well, why would people want to listen to me talk about this game? And he just was like, I just think you'd be really good at it. And I think you'd have a lot of fun. And I think the broadcast that I'm doing would be served by you being there. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do one. And if it's too scary or if it just does, like if it doesn't feel good, if it feels like, okay, that was really stressful and people were really mean to me, like I'm not going to do it again. But it was really, really fun. And the things that I've loved about performing, I loved getting to find those things talking about Flesh and Blood because it is kind of my favorite thing in the world right now. And it's the thing I think about and talk about the most. So getting to do that and also kind of, you know, put on a show for a stream was really fun. And maybe the key is just not have it be something you're like desperate to do at the beginning. Maybe the key is not saying no at first and being like, I don't know, maybe it's not for me. But
I don't know, man. There's money I just left on the table there. Like, I wish I could go back in time and be like, you moron, you could have been driving something better than a Corolla, you idiot. But no, it's great. And like, again, the community's better for it. The community's better for you guys doing what you guys do. It is so cool that to see the passion that you guys have. And like the same thing for you, when you get to combine your passion for the game with your passion and your talent for doing the broadcasting and the performance and whatever, because that's what it is. In reality, it's performance. Like when you're up there but it's improv, it's performance, and it's not easy. But again, the amount of joy I had to sit next to you and just feel that energy and that passion, it was like you feed off that. Because I have casted with like complete fish, and like it's difficult and it's tough because you feel like you're carrying and you feel like you're holding on to like a ball and chain while you're walking through. But with you're just like, sometimes I'm like, you got to keep up. Like I'm just like, no, this guy's got it and it's great. And I want to just say that it's awesome that you're in this and you're doing this stuff, and plenty more to come, man.
Dude, so. I really appreciated you. When we got to do that, you put out that tweet where you just congratulated me, and I literally saw it, and my jaw kind of dropped. I was like, that is so nice of this man. I mean, because you talk
that's
about...
my publicist, man. I don't know what this shit happens. Like, that's not me.
you talk about the community, but in a large part, I mean, like, you are a core of this community, and a lot of what happens in this world kind of moves through you, and the people look to you for the news, and the like. I've been like watching, and I've been a fan and watching this shit for 2 years, man. So it's really cool for me to be here, for us to be here, and I mean, I was in Pittsburgh, like, dude, I'm getting to cast with Flake. Like,
No,
this is crazy.
I appreciate that, but I think you three as a team are a real like bright spot for the community, and wherever you guys are in 10 years or whatever you're involved with, I hope it's still with Flesh and Blood, but whatever it is, you're going to be enriching that community and that content. You guys are fucking awesome. So thank you for that. I'm going to end it on a pretty serious question because some people decided that they wanted to really go hard here. This one from Will Bradshaw asking tacos or burritos. And for the record, we did a lot of Taco Bell drive-thru this past few days.
Not a lot of restaurants in Ohio.
No, man.
Where we are right now.
First of all, Ohio, if you're listening, your grocery store should not close at like 5 p.m. Yeah. I'm like, it was like 8:30, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get some bread and something to make a sandwich. And I walk in, and like, it's a ghost town, and people are like, "What are you doing in these parts?" Like, exactly. It's like they're giving me like a stink eye. I'm like, no, I'm good.
I'm from a city where the stores close at midnight.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. Like Toronto, 6 million people. You guys are like in LA, we're like 48 billion people, right? Like that's just the case. It's like people are stacked on top of each other. I went there thinking that at the worst it closed at 10, and like they were there, and there was like a tumbleweed that like was racing me to the store. Like
That was like, why the fuck are you here?
yeah, exactly. There's whispers, like there's like an old like ghost lady in an old wedding dress being like, "Have you seen my husband?" I'm like, I'm going right back to the Airbnb.
Yeah, even she's like, wait, why are you here? Yeah. It's past 6:30.
Basically, they're
The
like,
sun is setting. Like,
Edmund? I'm like, never mind. No. Canadian, choose my passport. I'm out of here. Like, no, haunt.
sorry about that.
Yeah, haunt the locals, motherfucker. Like, that's not for me.
Grocery store opens at 9 a.m.
It's such a small town that even the ghosts have jobs. They're like,
Yeah.
like we need people to do stuff.
You're like, damn. I mean, maybe the ghost could just be our sign. And tell everyone, like, it opens at 9. It's closed now. Go home.
That's gonna be our next guest next week. It's just like, yeah, basically, dude. Thank you so much for.
Oh, tacos and burritos.
Oh, right, tacos or burritos. That was it. Fuck the ghost. Tacos or
Fuck
burritos.
the ghost, sorry.
Snap.
We're gonna piss people off. I know.
Okay, snap. Tacos, burritos.
Tacos.
Burritos, dude.
It's burritos every time. It's,
Whoa!
It's burritos every time. No, because you can't.
Ping pong battle.
You can't have like.
Double on this tiny.
No, it's like a self-sustained ecosystem, like pocket. Like you could literally put it in like your like lapel pocket.
I have a just brief thought. I think the correct answer is tacos. I think like authentically, like the food is probably more meant to be presented in taco form, and I think I just prefer burritos.
How?
Yeah, you eat your tacos with flour tortillas, don't you?
No,
Yeah, you do.
no, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
This
I
has
can just
been
see it in your eyes.
this is the rift that we're gonna see. There will be no further three floating episodes.
Guys, the 3 floating video is going to be postponed this week.
The burrito is like it's all toasted. It's a little hard. Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Aiden is like right now being like, you morons.
Sam really does like those long, hard things.
I will say this, Aiden. I do completely understand why it's an hour a minute for editing because this is a lot of cleanup right now. Like you're
A lot of cleanup.
There is a lot of cleanup.
Yeah.
A lot
Totally.
of cleanup. Yeah.
Okay.
Most of it is when someone does something, gets put in the tank, and the other person's like.
Or
Last episode, like Sam went in the tank, and I was just like talking the whole time.
Can you do that noise again? Because I really want to know what the like auto closed captioning is gonna do for this.
People being in the tank or
it's Jacob on turn 3. Fuck, I fucking lost this game. The game is over. And then me off the side. All right, but play like you're still gonna win. And then he wins at the end, and then I just need to find a way to make it look like he was competitive the whole time.
mountains of Jacob's.
All right. Thanks again. Where can we find more 3 floating content? How do we get in touch with you guys if people want to reach out and just be like, you guys are awesome? What's the best way?
Twitter and YouTube.
3 floating.
TH
Free floating.
THREE floating on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok.
Okay, well, thank you so much to our sponsors at Kayfabe Cards. Go to kayfabecards.com. Be who you want to be, as well as to all the patrons. This is going to be a special episode because I think I convinced you guys to do a hot tub discussion. So we're
Only for the go again, though.
Yeah, it's going to be for the Patreon add-on, the go again, that kind of stuff. So please, if you want to, you go to patreon.com/instantspeed. For as little as $2 a month, you can support me. And
I'm a patron.
Yeah, and you get to see Aiden shirtless with his chest hair. Come on now, that's worth the patron money.
You were pulling at his arm hair earlier.
I didn't realize he had so much on his bicep.
I'm gonna be deep in the bubbles.
We don't know what that means, but find out.
He's gonna be deep in. Sorry.
Find out on the Patreon. Thank you so much for listening to Instant Speed Podcast. Don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning. We'll see you next time on ISP.
ISP.
Let's go.
Yeah.